Alright, here I have another Goal Z. I had picked this previously, but that one got downgraded from a black belt to a red belt lock in the Lock Picker United belt system. We've evaluated these, and only Goal Zs with 1 or less standard driver pins count as black, so that one had 2 or 3 in it. So this one has 1 standard driver pin, and the other ones are all spool pins. 3 of them are thin lip spools that get caught in matching counter milling that's on every chamber of the plug, and the other 3 are these fat lipped spools that give a lot of counter rotation and tend to drop all the thin lip spools. So, you know, it took a while going back and forth and figuring out which pins are what, but once you figure it out, you can kind of speed things up by attacking those thick lip spools first, which is works in this lock. I don't know if it's going to work on every lock, but that means that I'll drop the thin lip ones less often and hopefully make the video shorter. So in any case, number 7 is the standard on here. You get a little click like that, and you don't need to. You can set it whenever. But I do know that one is one of the thin lip spools and is springy. Alright, so number 2, got a little click out of it, and I think that's either counter milling or dropping into the thick spool area, and after that I get counter rotation like this, if you can see with the tension removing, and what I'll do is I'll lift that up if I get on it properly, and set that one. Go to the third one, same deal, little click initially, and then counter rotation, and set it. And then we'll go to the fourth one, which is another, so the 2, 3, and 4 are the fat lip ones, and we'll get a little click out of it, counter rotation right there like that, and we'll set that. Now we may have dropped 2 and 3, so we'll go back and check. 3, counter rotation, set, and 2 seems already set, so 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4, checking, jiggle on 3, and jiggle on 2, I believe. I think we have all 3 of those. Okay, so 2, 3, and 4. Now what we can do is we can start looking at those thin lip spools, right? So I know number 7 is our standard. 6 feels like it's binding, as does 5. And 6 and 5 are thin lipped. Now I could let off tension some and I could probably feel which one's binding first, but I'll go ahead and go after both of them. So I'm going to start with 5, push up on it. 5. There we go, click from 5. And 6. Push up on 6. I'm having a hard time right now pushing them. Alright, 6. Make sure I didn't drop 5. I did. So push up on 5. Click out of that. And 6. Alright. So now that that's done, let's make sure that those are jiggling. Okay. Make sure that 2 through 4 are still jiggling. I'll use this deeper hook to reach up high. They're pretty high up there. Indeed. Let's double check the jiggle in the back. 7. 7's jiggle. 6 doesn't seem to be jiggling. Nor does 5. I don't know if I'm actually on them. Alright, 5. 7's jiggling. 6 is, and 5 is. So I think they're set. Let's check number 1. 1 is really high up here and extremely hard to set. When I feel like I have it set, then I know I got to go even a little bit higher. So 1 is this one? I think that's 1. I'm not feeling any jiggle from it. Hardest thing about 1 is knowing that I'm on it without proper light. I have video lighting here, but I can't see a thing into the keyway. Alright, let's check the back, see if I drop something. No, not on 7. Might have to switch picks to feel back there. 4, 3, 2. I feel what happens is I push on 1, and as I go up, the pick do the angle slides towards the front of the lock and I fall off of it, is what I think happens with 1. So there's 1, I push back into it, go under it, lift it up, try to stay on it. Doesn't feel like jiggling. Dropping some stuff at the back as I push on this. All right, not feeling it. All right, I'll switch picks. Go after 7, 6, and 5. It doesn't feel like I dropped them. Checking the jiggle of 4, 3, and 2, and then going after 1 again. This is probably not the right pick to go after 1. Ugh. 7, 6, 5, a little droppage from those, and we're open. So 1 was set by that last bit, I think, touching this, and then I had to go back and it felt 6 click up a little bit and then 5 click up a little. So we'll take a look at the inside of this and show you all the counter milling and all that good stuff. So turn on autofocus, get this out here. We'll go ahead and lock this guy up like that. I don't need that yet. Gotta take these off first. All right, so 2 screws back here. Get a tray over here, and I'll show you something. There's these 2 ball bearings with strong springs in there that likely go flying out, and they can be difficult to manage during reassembly. So I won't show the whole reassembly, but I'll show something with those 2 ball bearings. So we'll go ahead and try to think if there's anything. No, we'll go ahead and push this out. Now you want to have your fingers on either side of the key like this to catch those ball bearings before they shoot out. And one thing I forgot, I just felt with my left finger, is driver pins are dropping. So let's drop it. I dropped the 2 ball bearings out of the sides, and we'll go deal with that ball bearing that's dropping back there. Let's go ahead and get these springs out too while we're at it. So do the springs, and then I'll show something to help deal with these springs and ball bearings. All right, but in the meantime, what we want to do is, there's a driver that fell out the back. There we go. So that's going to be driver number 7. So put him over here. He's the standard driver. And then we'll go grab a follower. Okay, so there's our follower. And it's the wrong size. All right, we're not going to do this with a follower then, and I won't show you. Well, I'll just tell you the little tip. So the little tip is that this, you can introduce a shim into here and do 1 ball bearing, hold it with the shim so the shim will stick out like that, and then you can work on the other ball bearing and hold that with your finger, put it in. And that's it for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the plug as a follower here. We're going to zoom in a little to get a better look. Kind of don't want to put this upside down because then key pins are going to start falling out. But I did want to show the orientation of the pins. It doesn't matter too much, I guess, because no, they don't. They're not all hollow, I don't think. Well, we'll see if I can pull this off. So here's the first chamber. Try to get in the middle, and try not to get the plug to line up and all kinds of garbage. So there's the one that fell out, pin 7. Pin 6 here. You can see he's coming out. You can see he's got a thin spool on it. And indeed, this is hollow at the back as well. So it'll go in that one direction. Put these ball bearings and springs down in the bottom area. Get the spring for that number 6. Number 5. Another thin spool. Thin lip spool there, coming out. And the spring didn't follow, or did. There it is. Spring. Number 4 is a thick lip. There we go, thick lip. Comes out like that. It's got a hole in the top for which side the spring is, so it's easy to keep track of which way the springs go. Or which way the key pins go, or the driver pins go, sorry. Alright. Here comes number 3. Sorry, 3. And the spring for it. All right, number 2. There's number 2. Also thick. And then finally number 1. You should probably use a follower when you do this. It makes things a lot less worrisome. Now 1's just going to shoot out because it's going to be hard to hold this plug in here. Actually, maybe I'll catch it with the tweezer like that. Put the plug aside right there. Oh, and it fell out anyways. Okay, so number 1. So the key pins here. There we go, key pins. Actually, maybe I'll show the assembly thing as well. I'm going to take the key out. Take the key out. I don't know why it's getting stuck. Alright, I'll take it out in a bit. 7, 6, 5. Am I off the screen? I am off the screen, aren't I? It's because I zoomed in. 4. Well, this is not a belt application. If you're applying for belts, make sure everything stays on the screen at all times. 2. If you're applying for a lower belt and something like that happened where I can see that obviously the key's stuck in there, so no shenanigans, we'll usually let it slide. For black belt applications, we won't. Alright, so there we go. Some brass dust in here. And we'll take a quick look at these. So on here, the plug here, you've got counter milling on these chambers. Each of these chambers has counter milling, where the pig gets stuck, and then it looks like over milling right here. Okay, so there's like a counter mill that your thin lip spools, or all spools, are going to get stuck on. So here's number 6. It's going to get stuck coming out there, and then what's going to happen is it's going to drop down to this area, this over mill, and then you have to push it just a little bit to get it out of there. And because there is spool, there'll be it'll catch a little bit harder, even though that's just a over mill. And that's on every chamber here. It looks like there are construction bitting holes there, so you can have little ball bearings in here that would drop in there for construction bitting. And then you got this ball bearing detent. So looking at that ball bearing piece, what I suggest is loading a shim in here at about the bottom 45 degree, because you're not going to have it the 90 degree, you're going to have this at an angle, right, because you're going to be full of different pins. And then what you'll do is you'll drop your ball bearing spring here on this side. And you can do this at about 90 degrees without worrying, like you can have this pointing straight up at the sky without worrying about dropping out all your key pins. Like that. And then you're probably going to have to hold this shim at the back, otherwise it's just going to travel out with the plug half the time. And then before the spring goes under, push down on that, like that, and then you get it under that shim there, right? So now what you can do is you can access the one on the other side. You can put your spring in. Now you do this after you've loaded up all your drivers and all your key pins are loaded up. This is the last step. And you can push that down with your finger and you can slide that in there, right? And then when you push that in, you can pull this out. And that gives you your center bias with those ball bearings in there. So it locks the center bias. So that's that. And then when you take it out, have your finger on both sides. And I stopped at that point because at that point this last driver dropped into the chamber. But there's the 2 of those and the 2 springs. Alright, if you lose these ball bearings, you can buy extra ones on like McMaster car, but the springs are a little bit harder to replace. Alright, that's the Goal Z with 1 standard pin in it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.